Within the United States, there is the town of Hempstead, and having previously made videos on the parks, transportation, and villages within the town, this video is about the town seat, the center of government, located within the village of Hempstead. As a reminder, Hempstead is the most populated town in the United States, bordering on New York City, located in the southern portion of Nassau County on Long Island. It is composed of hamlets, which answer directly to the town, and incorporated villages, which have a certain degree of autonomy from the town. The town is located within the county of Nassau, within the state of New York, and this is a picture of the town hall. When we think of seats of government, we often think of classically inspired architecture with a capital dome on it, such as the U.S. Capitol and the Nassau County seat. New York State Capitol, however, is one of the few capitals in the country that does not have a dome. When we look at the county courthouse, it does have elements of classicist architecture in it. And likewise, with the town hall, there is a cupola with a clock tower. The design of the old town hall, built in 1918, inspired by Independence Hall in Philadelphia. But as the population and size of the town grew, in 1968, the new Hempstead Town Hall was built, designed by architect Richard Heidelberger in 1968 in the modernist style. The third building in the town hall complex is the pavilion. The pavilion here is used for the town council meetings and public events. Going back into the history of the town hall, we think of the modernist building as being a contemporary of the Boston City Hall, the Miami Beach City Hall, the Brookhaven Town Hall further east on Long Island, Dallas City Hall in Texas, and the Orange County seat of government in Orange County, New York. The Empire State Architect magazine, a directory of publicly listed architects published in 1968, also has ideas for these concrete brutalist style buildings, because in the Cold War, buildings that seated the government often resembled corporate buildings, as we represented capitalism during that time period, and capitalism and businesses represented efficiency. Likewise with local government. But going back in time, the old Hempstead Town Hall faced a green space called Harper Park, which had a Liberty flagpole and Mill River flowing through it. Harper Park was a gift to the town by the Harper family, relatives of Harper and Row Publishing and the founders of Harper's Weekly Magazine. It was given to the town for a price of just $100 in 1911, so the green public space in front of the seat of town government. But even before that, going back to the 1870s, the first town hall building seen here had its mansard rooftop facing Harper Park and Mill River. So the question then is, how did the town government meet before the 1870s? It met in borrowed buildings, in rented quarters, going back to 1644, when the town was founded by English settlers from New England, dissident Puritans, who were given permission to create a town here by the authorities of New Netherlands. In 1664, New Netherlands became New York, and Long Island was formally incorporated within the colony and future state of New York. The location of Harper Park is a central crossroads between Front Street, which is New York State Route 102, just a block south of Fulton Street, which is part of the longer Hempstead Turnpike or New York State Route 24, and Prospect Street here on this 1914 map, which later was incorporated into Peninsula Boulevard. The roads here connected to Freeport, the Rockaway Peninsula, to Queens, points north and points east. In 1918, during the time of World War I, the second town hall building was completed, replacing the older town hall, built in a style resembling Independence Hall in Philadelphia. And on this planning map from the 1950s, we still see Mill River as a thin line going through the town hall complex, next to these older postcards of Prospect Park, where Peninsula Boulevard met Front Street, and Harper Park. Going further into the 1950s, further development, as Hempstead, once known as the Garden Spot of Long Island, is now known as the hub of Nassau County, a center of commerce with a downtown resembling that of Jamaica, Queens. While looking at older maps from the 1870s, we see the waterways and the parks alongside these waterways that are now a distant memory. Another map from 1891, the topographical map, shows how Mill River went into Hempstead Reservoir that provided water for the city of Brooklyn, and later became the centerpiece, known as the Hempstead Lake, for Hempstead Lake State Park, designed in the 1920s. By the 1960s, as the population of the town grew thanks to highways and suburbanization, many of the properties around Town Hall were turned into parking lots as car culture reigned dominant on Long Island. And with more houses being built, there had to be more permits, more inspectors for the towns, and more agency needs to expand. So this town hall was built in 1968. Harper Park was also developed into a parking lot, and the empty properties further downstream became strip mall parking lots as Mill River further disappeared beneath the surface. Looking at the present aerial, we see the highlighted Washington Avenue, we have Peninsula Boulevard, Front Street, Fulton Street, and the modern town hall built in the style of the 1960s, surrounded by parking lots. On the one hand, it's very much representative of its time, but on the other hand, it's very much concrete and glass, and lacking that sense of history that connects us to the past and the longer story of Hempstead. Likewise, with the Nathan Bennett Pavilion, a small building on the campus of the Town Hall complex, the third building here. Nathan Bennett was a town commissioner who lived just before this building was built. It's used for town hall meetings and the town council. This is a medallion from the dedication. And looking at the back of the town hall, we have the emblem of the town, which is identical to the emblem of the United States. Yes, we're very patriotic, but on the other hand, the emblem does not really have a connection to local history and the local sense of place. Rather, it connects more to the larger country in which we are. Perhaps the flag could be due for a redesign, making it more unique, similar to the flags of New York City and some of the other big cities. But on the other hand, why change something that other people aren't complaining about? I should also remind you that the plaza in front of the Nathan Bennett Pavilion was renamed in the year 2020 as a Dorothy Goospey Plaza. Dorothy Goospey is the longest-serving member of the town council. She is in her 80s, a member of the minority Democrats on the council, and she's largely responsible for the town government being the way it is, because she launched a lawsuit in the late 90s arguing that the at-large voting districts are discriminating against the minority communities of the town, including its long-standing African-American community. And so that's why today we have a town supervisor who serves in the place of a mayor and the town council. The town tax collector, she is elected on a separate ballot line, Kate Murray, who also marries people at Town Hall. The Goospey Plaza and Town Hall are often used to highlight the various communities of this town because we are as diverse as New York City, and you can see the different flag raisings that take place at Dorothy Goospey Plaza. Now, she's very much with us, so one of the rare times a plaza is renamed after a living person, and that's here. Speaking of concrete plazas, when you look at the Nassau County seat of government in Mineola, which is actually within Garden City but addressed as Mineola, even though it's on the Garden City and Hempstead side of Old Country Road, we see large open grassland and parking lots, which I don't find to be problematic because this site was part of the larger Hempstead Plains, the largest grassland on the East Coast. But at the same time, I would like to see more benches, more plants here, more sculptures and monuments to truly make this a civic center, or at least the center of Nassau County that it is. A block away from the courthouses is the Nassau County seat and the Nassau County Police Department headquarters, which also don't offer much as far as monuments, sculptures, flowers, and plantings. So perhaps more could be done here to make this place friendly to pedestrians, public gatherings, and not just meetings of government. Going back to Town Hall, when we look at the neighboring municipalities, or other municipalities with brutalist architecture, you can consider New York City Hall, which has that thin cupola, and City Hall Park, which has always been a park and a gathering spot dating back to the colonial period. Why can't the town of Hempstead have a similar design around its seat of government as New York City has? Or you look at Yonkers City Hall, on a hilltop in front of a park. Even Boston, with its brutalist city hall built in the 1960s, much criticized, received a green makeover recently, putting in more benches, trees, and fountains to make the space around the city hall more inviting to the public. And then we look back to the pictures of Harper Park, the late Harper Park and Millbrook, and think what could be done here, considering the Nathan Bennett Pavilion, the new town hall, and the parking lot are now occupying that space. I think of Collect Pond Park in the Civic Center of New York City. Because even though we can't bring back Millbrook on account of all the concrete and all the pavilions and buildings and parking, Perhaps a portion of it could be restored as a water space with natural plantings. Because when you think of Collect Pond, what was once a 40-acre waterway in downtown Manhattan was covered up for development by the 1820s with a jail built on it that was then demolished in the 1890s, turned into a parking lot and sitting area by the 1960s called Civic Center Park, renamed Collect Pond Park in the 1980s, and then the early 2000s. Less than an acre of the original pond was restored as a water feature, connecting New Yorkers to their history of what used to be a source of drinking water and so much history going back to the past. So Collect Pond is back. And then we look at the Town Hall Plaza today. You see the Dorothy Gooseby Plaza with its rectangular fountain, Nathan Bennett Pavilion, the 1968 Town Hall, and the 1918 Town Hall. And then you see a picture before they were built. This is from Pat Mazza of the Historic Hempstead Facebook group. So much credit to Pat Mazza for maintaining the history of this old town online. And I think of what could be done here. Well, the parking lot could be moved across Front Street to the Peter Cooper parking lot, where a parking garage could be built to minimize the space used by cars, while the space here could have the Bennett Pavilion relocated and the area between the new Bennett Pavilion and the two town halls given back to a small water feature, a flagpole, a sitting area, truly making it not just a gathering spot, but a spot with history, a sense of place, connection to the past, connection to nature. I hope that town officials who see this video, town residents who see this, will get inspired to make something better of Hempstead's Town Hall, to make it truly a gathering spot and a capital of our great town. If you have ideas for other videos relating to the town of Hempstead, let me know. Because even though we are a collection of hamlets and villages, as our population has grown, as we become more developed, perhaps we should have a more unified sense as a municipality. And that means our seat of government. Thank you so much.